and we're live,
We are
as
live.
always,
I
and a
believe
little
we
bit
are,
late.
Effie. We are live and we're 5 minutes late, which is just like us.
It's about right, no?
So we're doing really well, I want to say.
I
We
think
are
so. I think
right
so.
on. We are giving ourselves permission to thrive and to be late. What can I tell you?
That's the whole point, though. That's the whole point. That's how we're thriving, isn't it? Like, with ease and flow, as
Yes,
always. And
absolutely.
so this week is still on thriving because we did find that this is something we want to close the, I don't know, it's not really like the summer. Okay, I don't want to say close the summer. The summer is still here, but like complete August with, I suppose. And we are talking about the definition of thriving at the end, and what's the myth with regards to that. And the myth is that thriving, or like you should know about thriving, that thriving is a specific thing for all of us. And we don't believe that. So,
I think more than that, I think more than we don't believe it, is that if we start to see thriving as this one very specific thing, it's like another thing we have to try to attain. And so when we look at these phrases, and if we look at the first phrase, which is, I should know what thriving looks like for me. Well, one, absolutely what it looks like for you, but do you need to know what it looks like for you? That's the exploration part. So if you're telling yourself, I should know what thriving looks like for me, there already is sort of like a sense of pressure. And, I should absolutely know exactly what this thing looks like. When you may not have spent one moment actually even considering what it looks like. So, how would you know? What does it look like? Because thriving is so different for so many people. And some people tie thriving to success, literally, that, you've got to have success and then you're thriving. And for some people, it's thriving is that I'm in really good health, or thriving is that I have fun in my life. So, what is it? The question isn't you should know what it looks like. It's actually, what does thriving look like to me when I think about it?
and it can be many things, right? It can be a combination of all the things that you mentioned, Yvonne. It's not just about like, okay, I know I'm thriving when, because that, like, if it is the one thing that you're expecting your life to be or feel this particular moment in time, that could be the thriving for you now. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is like going to be the same next year or in 10 years time. Because we evolve, because we grow, we thrive in different ways. The thing is to, first of all, whenever we hear shoulds in anything that we tell ourselves, automatically that means that there is an obligation of sorts, or that there is something that I'm missing, and that causes a whole range of feelings that definitely goes against thriving in one way or another, because it can create, should by itself can create anxiety, can create that sense of lack, can create all sorts of things that really don't, we wouldn't want them for ourselves. But also thriving, and that is like, correct me if I'm wrong, Yvonne, or if I like you think of it in a different way, but like for me, thriving is like creating the space around whatever it is that you're feeling, and like allowing yourself to explore, and
Mm.
allowing yourself to be more curious, and giving the opportunities to yourself to like feel differently or thrive differently from like one day to the next or whatever. So what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
I think interestingly that thriving is, when I feel X, Y, and Z, when I feel X, Y, and Z, that feels like thriving to me. So for me personally, there is a sense of the feeling. There's something within a sensation bodily that I can relate to thriving. So, when I'm feeling joyful, I feel like I'm thriving. But also, like you said, the seasons, that one sensation of joyfulness, and I'm not saying that joyfulness only comes in the summer or only comes in whatever, but I may feel that sense of thriving in the summer when things are bountiful, the sun is shining, there's a lot of social activity. I might also feel like thriving in the winter when I'm in front of a fire and I have a blanket around me, and completely different setting, completely different thing, but I still feel like I'm thriving because I feel good. There's this lovely sense of being present and allowing whatever the feelings I'm having, and I'm going to say the good feelings that I'm having or the fulfilling feelings that I'm having, to be and to be fully present with them. So
Mhm.
we can thrive in so many different ways, and that can change from season to season, right? As well as person to person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the thing. I mean, the moment comparison gets in the mix, I think we are losing this personal thing for us. We are allowing for external things to determine where we are at, what we should be feeling, how we should be acting, how we should be showing up. And when things, I don't know about anyone else, but I mean for myself, like I am a strong controller, of course, and of course. And for myself, I mean, I know it. It's like I don't know if but probably the people that know me personally know that as well. But the thing is that like the moment something like this come my way and it's like external, it sort of like changes the way that I am in the environment, how I understand my own self.
Mm,
And there is so much resistance in that that it becomes like the pulling and pushing kind of situation where you cannot possibly, at least I cannot possibly thrive in that particular point.
yeah.
I need to sit with whatever it is that I want to do, how I want to do it, what that means for me, without that external pressure, to be
Mm,
able to discover what it looks for me, what that looks like for me, how am I, can I thrive in this particular moment in time, and
yeah.
why do I want to thrive? I don't know. Maybe I don't, and if I don't, I don't.
Indeed.
That's how it is. So also,
Absolutely.
I think that even that pressure of like, okay, are you thriving, or like the expression we have, are you thriving, or you're just surviving, or like something along those lines. But there are moments in our lives that we might even just survive, but there are
Mm,
reasons for that as well. So as long as we know that and we're exploring that and we allow curiosity in that for ourselves in this particular moment in time, I think that's what allows thriving to come our way eventually. And I hope I haven't really people think like, what on earth is he talking about?
I think thriving, like anything, is it doesn't have to be like I have to feel like I'm thriving 24/7. There is this heart, and I'll always go back to this word because I love it, harmony. There's this harmony of life where, we get to experience all of these things if we allow ourselves to, if we open ourselves to it. And that nothing has to be continuous, like all the time. It's just that when does it flow in? And how do I feel it? How do I experience it? How do I know when it's present? That for me feels much more important than thinking, oh gosh, I got through Monday. Was I thriving? When was I thriving? There's no panic or urgency about it or with it. It's just noticing when you do. When I go for a walk, like walking for me and being in nature is just a simply joyful experience for me. For me. So I know that if I go for a walk in the woods, that there is a change in how my body feels. There is a change in how I breathe that actually shows me that I've gone into what I would define as my thriving mode. Like, oh, shoulders are dropped, my breathing slowed. I can really feel my feet as they touch the ground. I'm like so here. That's my thriving in that moment. So it's just being able to, do I even notice when it's happening and what I'm feeling when it's happening, as opposed to expecting something to happen, and that gives me an opportunity to thrive. But and kind of almost equal to that is like noticing the environments, because sometimes you can go into an environment that immediately drains you, and you're just like, oh my, like you can literally feel your energy leaving your body, and then you can walk into another environment and suddenly feel like, this feels amazing. Like, and whether it's music, maybe it's color, maybe it's the people, whatever that is. What is it then that you'll notice? And what do you feel in that motive? Because if you can pick up on the feeling that those things bring, for me, it makes it much easier. The fact that I know I thrive in nature makes it really easy for me to think, feeling a bit flat, I'm going to go for a walk. Because I know it immediately changes the physical and the emotional state that I'm in.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you see, like here, you're giving thriving a very different dimension as well, Yvonne, the way that you are describing it, because that shows us that thriving has not, I mean, it has various explanations. I mean, there are various explanations, or not explanation, but like meanings to thriving. But this
Definitions.
particular one, yeah, it's much more something that we are like like when we are tuned into that and we understand it, we can use it as a way to regain that sensation, regain that feeling, and potentially the moments that we're not feeling all there, that there are things that are happening in our lives that we like makes us feel that we're out of sorts, we can
Mm,
put ourselves in that situation, like intentionally. And then
yes.
thriving becomes like almost like, I don't know, like, can you say that? Like an incubator? Like you're sitting in there and you're becoming something. You are drawing life from it. Um, so this is enormous as far as I am concerned, because as you said, we very often connect thriving with success, and that's it. And then again, we connect success with whatever somebody somewhere out there has said, and we are in constant pursuit of that without realizing that everything is here, everything is within us, and we can, no matter how we feel, what the circumstances, try and find that morsel of good thing that we can use and expand and let it hold us in a better state, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And interesting that you say that, because of course the second phrase that we have is, if my life doesn't look successful, I'm not thriving. And
Yeah.
actually, of the two, I would probably say in my work, this one is the one that I've probably heard more of, not necessarily in the same, exactly the same words, but that same sense of, how can I possibly be thriving when my business isn't doing this, or my career looks like that, or so very much tied to that success thing. Whereas, where might you be thriving beyond those things, or beside those things? Out, where else might you be thriving? And I say that because otherwise we're kind of narrowing life down. Like life is only good if it looks successful, and then I can only thrive if I'm successful. So it just makes life kind of go like this. And life is expansive. Life is expansive. Even when there are difficult things happening in our lives, that doesn't mean to say that thriving cannot appear beside it. And I'm not going to say it doesn't take the other thing away. It's not about overriding, oh, suddenly now I'm thriving so much this thing doesn't matter. No, I can be in the depths of sadness, but still be able to find joy, still be able to feel a sense of life still feels abundant or rich or good, even whilst I'm having to look at this thing here. And that I can take that as a from a personal experience, um, in many ways. But I also have, when I've sat with women quite often and we've looked at this specifically, suddenly they've been able to see, well, as I look at the wider landscape of my life, this over here is giving me hell. But actually, when I look over in that corner, I see something very different. So now you're seeing the whole landscape and not just a part of it. And you're not just expecting that part of it to be the part that resolves everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me, because I see how success and thriving feel like they maybe should be hand in hand, but should as defined by who? Because who told us what success should look like in the first place? Much less what thriving should look or feel like.
And we can turn it on its head as well, because I mean we have seen time and again people that on paper look very successful, that they are clearly not thriving, not in their head,
Absolutely.
and we can see that from their actions, their ways, even like I mean I have worked with women that, like, to me they're like, as I said, it's like that external picture. Oh, you are super successful, that's fabulous, whatever. And their ask is like, no, this doesn't mean anything to me, how do I thrive? You're like, okay, so there you go, how that happens.
Absolutely.
That the two are not connected by any means. They could be, but they don't
Yeah,
necessarily need to be. And
exactly.
that is the
Exactly.
whole
And I think that's
thing.
an important distinction because they can be, what, how joyful. You have the success that, as you have defined it, and you feel that you're thriving. Beautiful, wonderful. However, you may have the success that you have perhaps worked really hard to have, and yet the thriving is like nowhere to be seen. On the other hand, you could be thriving, like, oh, there is a sensation that I feel about life, and it's a gift. I mean, I always talk about life being a gift. And yet, if somebody said, well, where's the success that makes that possible? I don't have to worry about the success that makes it possible. I get to experience this anyway. So, this kind of breaks it down into knowing that these two do not have to sit together. Sometimes they do, wonderful, and sometimes they're not, they're miles apart. The important thing is really coming back to self and saying, do I even notice, or can I notice the moments when thriving is with me? Can I notice them? Because they could be tiny little things. I went out for lunch last Friday with somebody who I've only met, well, I've met but maybe 4 or 5 times, and we've had lunch twice. And but the conversation was so rich, and I walked away feeling like, oh, that was just such an awesome lunch. What a wonderful time. I felt in a very thriving state, like I could feel the, I want to say, like the energy in my body was like, yeah, that was really good. I felt enlivened. It was just a lovely feeling. That was a 2 hour lunch, sat with somebody. Nothing extraordinary had happened. It was that I was completely present with that person, enjoying great conversation and great food, I must add, um, and and being fully appreciative of it in that moment. That felt like a thriving moment for me. Now, for somebody else, they may say, "Well, that would not do it for me." That's okay too. What would?
Yeah.
What would?
But this is where explore and being curious comes to play, right? Because that's the whole point. Is like being able to understand that it's up to you to define what you want, how you want to feel, when can you be in that state? Can you be in that state all the time? Can that be like the frame that you have in your life for anything that is happening in your life? Because even like I might be going a little bit off topic here, but like being grateful is more important when life is not going completely your way anyway. That is the difference of like really living within the being grateful, I don't know, parenthesis, whatever, like container, okay? Because that is a state of life. That is the way that you want to live. And it, like the whole thing is like you want and you can. That is like, because it can be completely separate to the external situations and your environment and everything else. It's just like a completely private thing. And like how much like lucky are we to be able, no matter what's going on around us, to choose, to be able to choose that state, to choose how we want to be. We can be out of sorts. We can, of course, but like, how do you frame that at the end of the day? And I think thriving is like quite connected with this, because okay, there are different ways of talking about thriving, I suppose, and
Yes.
like the meaning of thriving. We use it a lot because we have permission to thrive, and that is the whole point. It's like the permission that we give ourselves as individuals to experience whatever it is that makes us feel that we are thriving.
Yeah. I think you're frozen. Are you back?
Yeah, I am back. We both froze for just 1 minute there.
We
There was like
froze
a
there, so freezing.
oh,
We're just freezing in
I was
thrive.
like, I thought that I really made you speechless.
Yeah, I think in the midst of all this, that it's important to know that there is no right answer. There's no one answer, there's no right answer. Somebody's thriving may be around adventure. Someone's might be around peace. Someone's might be around purpose. It may be around connections, creativity. There's a whole plethora of things it could be where you recognize, oh, now I'm thriving. I know I have a couple of clients who are artists and they thrive when they're doing their painting. That's when they really like, because they're expressing themselves and they get lost in this thing and they feel like, oh, this is just, you can tie a million words to it, magical, freedom, whatever, but they feel that sense of thriving because they feel so connected to the thing that they're doing. And but that doesn't mean that they can't feel it anywhere else. That's just one really clear way, which is why quite often if they feel that things like there's some tension or whatever for them, they will go to their easel and start painting because they know that it changes that sensation in the body, right? But we don't always need to have to go somewhere for it to be accessible. Thriving may be, cooking a meal for yourself. If you enjoy cooking, that may be a moment. Picking up a book and sitting with it and telling everybody else to back off so that you can be with your book for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. That may be where you thrive. What you do or how you access it is completely down to you. It's noticing it when you do. Because when you start to notice it, it's like, oh, that feeling, I like that feeling. Where else can I experience it? Or how can I bring more of that in? And like you were saying, when you tie it to things like gratitude, like if you tie it to something like gratitude, or you allow gratitude to be the thing that makes you feel like you're thriving, then, go ahead and be grateful every half an hour and see how you feel at the end of the day. Because if that's what makes you feel like you're thriving, why would you not tap into it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole point. I mean, I think that we all need to take advantage of these opportunities that we have to allow ourselves to explore and like take on the responsibility for everything that we do, how we feel, um, what's happening, and whatever, whenever we can, disassociate ourselves or our wants and needs from the environment and bring it back into self. Let's do that, because there isn't anything better, at least for a controller, there isn't, than being completely in control. And also completely in control. You're never completely in control, let's face it. But like knowing that there is strength in like taking responsibility, in being able to say, yes, I am responsible for this. Now I'll do the best I can with what the circumstances are, or I won't allow the circumstance to touch me at all, and move on if that is another possibility. Because one can say, if you look around, and we have touched on that many times in our chats, like like the external things, especially nowadays, we have so much information from what is going on around us. We can dwell on that and stay with it and be dragged in it or whatever, but the bottom line is, what can you do about it? If all you can do about it is being fearful or moan or whatever, then think also, is that helpful to anyone? It might be, but like think about it and take agency when it comes to that, and see if it's worth spending the energy, the time towards that direction.
Everything is energy, right? Everything consumes some energy. So, yeah, where you put that focus, what you choose to give yourself permission to think, feel, be, all of those things. And I'm not saying that and like you said, we do not have control over everything. We don't. That's a reality. So the things that we do have is where we can really experience our choices. We can really experience our choices. And if nothing else, over these past 3 weeks when we've spoken about thriving, if you do nothing else other than pause and consider, when I think of thriving, how does it make me feel to even think about thriving? And when have I felt like I am or might be thriving? Over my, look at your lifeline. I'm not talking about just today. Look at those moments when you think, I was definitely thriving then. How did you know you were definitely thriving then? What was it? What did you experience? What did you feel? What stayed with you? Because if we can start to identify those things, that for me is when we can start saying, okay, well, I may not be able to, I don't want to replicate that experience specifically, but I can pull a strand out of there and see how I can bring that into my life today so that I can experience thriving in this moment.
And without any external help. That is all down to you and your thoughts, your experiences, your memories, which is great. I think that is the beauty of being able to thrive on the moment, immaterial of what's going on around us. And I think, like, as a something that I have experienced, and I can see it when we're discussing it with clients, and how they are like coming back to the moment, coming back, being present. That helps quite a lot, because when you're present, you know that there's nothing else. There is no past, there is no future at this particular moment, and you can bring and concentrate to whatever it is you want to feel right here and now, and use that as something that can make you feel that sense of thriving.
Mm.
And it doesn't have to be anything, like nothing external has to change for this to happen. So
Absolutely. So yeah, sit with thriving. I think it's like so many other things. I mean, thriving is one thing, but to be able to sit with it and pause and really kind of hold up what that might feel like for you, and then notice where it's been present, maybe even notice where it hasn't been present, and then be able to decide, does this feel important to me? Because let's not assume everybody cares about thriving. We have to
yeah.
say, but is this important to me? And if it is, how do I bring that sensation, that feeling more into my life? It doesn't have to be every day, every week, but how do I bring more of it in? Because when I'm thriving, if we look at nature and we know that when nature's thriving, that energy that comes with it, and it comes with us too. So just food for thought, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think we have covered everything we could have covered in the last 3 weeks. I can't believe it's been already 3 weeks that we're talking about thriving. It's like
I know.
all happening and going. But I think that's the beauty of, like, when you are really in that flow, and everything happens, and there is a slight plan. Thing, I don't believe in like very rigid plans, but yeah. So I don't have anything else to add to this. I think we have really and hopefully given you some food for thought,
Or
and
at
we can
least
take it from there.
open the doorway to you being able to think, well, actually, I've never really thought about thriving. It's never really been something that I've given much thought to. What do you think now? Do you have any thoughts on it now? Is it something that you would want to consider? And if you are somebody who, experiences thriving on a regular basis, what does that look like? What is it? What is it that you're doing that allows that to arise? Share it, because that may well just lift somebody else or maybe inspire somebody else or give them just that pause for thought. So we kind of always welcome that. And I think also I just want to give my thanks to you, Evie, because I think through all the work that we've been doing together, it's been lovely to have somebody to do some thriving with. I'm going to take that opportunity.
Thank you. And
And
straight
it
back at
has
you.
because, well, you know, because our conversations, we have these conversations and we kind of just speak in the moment. So there has been some really rich stuff that has come up over all the time we've been doing these lives that I have definitely taken away and just thought, oh, how do I implement that? How do I bring that into my space and into my being? And it does make a difference. And I think on the back of that, just to, as a heads up, that we want to perhaps make these a little bit more practical
Yeah.
because we've been really enjoying our chats. And it is, I think one person said, I love watching your videos. It's like watching two friends having a really solid conversation. And I'm just like, yes, which is what we've had, which is kind of what we wanted to have. But going forward, what we want to do is make this more practical. So really kind of giving you something that you can take away and practice. I don't even want to say do, I want to say practice, or
Practice. Yeah.
maybe just sit with and see how that works for you. And that's, we're going to start doing that from next week. So so if you've been with us and you've enjoyed the chats, thank you so much. If you have any thoughts, any comments you want to add, do so underneath the video. And then hopefully join us next week where the format changes slightly and we can start to give you something more practical to take away.
Absolutely. And also with regards to thriving in particular, let us know what thriving means for you, because that's a very interesting thing. Many times when I have this conversation about thriving, it's like people take time to think about what it is for them, because we connected with so many different things. So yeah. And I definitely have enjoyed all these conversations, and I'm looking forward to like being able to put all these things that we've discussed over, I can say, the years now, in a more practical thing. We're not like deviating completely from what we're doing,
No.
right? It's just that we are now taking the step forward and making it more tangible, more like something you can sit with. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for one more Thursday. Thank you very much
Thank you,
for
Evie.
everyone.
And thank you to everyone who's tuned in and watching on replay. We appreciate that too. Thank you.